Okay, good morning. Welcome to Math Project 56. We're only going to be doing one problem a day because we've been running a little bit behind schedule. So that's fine. We'll do one problem a day over the summer. And here it is. You went to a store and spent 1/3 of your money on Legos, and then spent another $10 on a super secret Lego Ninja keychain. Super secret. Nobody even knows about it.
Then how are you going to buy it?
At the next store, you spent half of your remaining money on the Tinker Toy set, and then bought a smoothie for $5. Okay? At that point, you were out of money. How much money did you start with? Okay, so what we're going to do on this problem, because we haven't really done I think we've done one problem like this before, but these can be a little tricky, right?
Yeah.
Okay. We're actually going to write it out. Now I'm going to have to switch the camera to focus over here. Let's see if I can do that. How do I do that? Okay. So what's the first thing that happened in this problem?
The first thing that happens is you spent 1/3 of your money on Legos.
Okay. So the first thing, we have to understand everything that happened in the problem. So thing number one is you spent 1/3 of your money.
Yeah. If you do it this way, it's probably going to get really complicated really fast.
It will. It probably will, you're right. Let me make sure this is filming. You spent 1/3 of your money on Legos. Okay? What's the next thing that happened in the problem?
Next thing that happened is you spent $10.
On what?
On the Lego Ninja keychain.
You spent $10 on the Lego Ninja keychain. What's the next thing that happened in the problem?
Well, you bought a Tinker Toy set for half of your remaining money.
Okay. Bought a Tinker Toy set for half of your remaining money. What's the next thing that happened?
You bought a smoothie for $5.
You bought a smoothie for $5. What kind of smoothie do you think you bought?
A blueberry smoothie?
A blueberry smoothie? Okay.
Or a berry smoothie?
Okay, what's the very last thing that happened?
You had $0.
You have $0. Okay. So
That said Y-O-O.
Y-O-U.
U.
Y-O-U. Okay, you have $0. Okay, so when you have a problem like this that has a lot of steps, it's really important to understand what all the steps are. Okay?
Yes.
Okay, now, what are we trying to figure out?
How much money we had to start off with.
Okay, we're trying to figure out how much money we had to start out with. Okay? And what are we going to call that?
We'll call that X.
Okay. I'm going to call that X. And if we go through all of these steps, starting at X,
We're going to get really
X minus 1/3, X minus 1/3 minus 10, the whole thing, X minus 1/3 minus 1/3 X minus 10 divided by 2, then minus 5. It gets very complicated, but there's an easier thing to do here.
You can go backwards.
You go backwards. So instead of starting at the beginning and going to the end,
you start from the end and go to the beginning.
okay, and how are you going to know when it's good to start at the end and go to the beginning on a problem?
Well, when you have these complicated fractions and stuff.
Okay. When you have a complicated problem where the steps might be a little tricky. But the other thing is where it's really simple at the end.
Yeah.
Okay, and why is this one so simple at the end?
It's 0 at the end.
Right, because you have 0 at the end. What could be easier than 0? What could be more simple than 0?
Nothing.
Nothing. Nothing is simpler than 0. Okay, so let's go step 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
Woohoo!
Okay, at step 5 you had 0. How much did you have at step 4?
You had $5.
How do you know that?
You know that because it's 0 plus 5. Which is 5. 5.
Well, tell me what happened on step 4.
Before you bought a smoothie for $5.
You bought a smoothie for $5.
Yep.
Okay, and what did you end up with?
And well, before you bought the smoothie, you have $5.
Well, you bought a smoothie for $5, and what did you end up with after you bought the smoothie? How much money did you have
Zero
after you
after
bought
the
the
smoothie.
Okay, so if you spent $5 and ended up with 0, how much money did you have at the beginning of step 4?
$5.
Okay, tell me why. Why do you know you had 5 here?
Because 0 plus 5 is 5.
Okay, tell me in words why, not in numbers. Tell me in words why you know you had $5 at the beginning of step 4.
Well, that's because you bought a smoothie for $5 and then you had 0.
Okay, you bought a smoothie for $5 and you ended up with 0. Okay,
Yeah.
very good. So now you had $5 at step 4. You want me to do it in purple?
Yeah.
Okay, I'll do the next one in purple. Okay, so what happened in step 3?
You bought a Tinker Toy set for half of that remaining money.
Okay, so you bought a Tinker Toy set for however much money you had at the beginning of step 3.
Yeah.
And how much money did you end up with after you bought the Tinker Toy set?
You ended up with $5.
How do you know that?
Well, I know that because the Tinker Toy set cost half of that remaining money.
Well, no, but how do you know you ended up with $5? After you bought the Tinker Toy set.
Whatever your half you had whatever you minus the half, and then you got 5.
Okay, when did you have 5?
You had $5 when you bought the smoothie.
So how much did you have after you bought the Tinker Toy set?
Did you have after the Tinker Toy set?
Yeah. How much money did you have after you bought the Tinker Toy set?
After the Tinker Toy set. How much money did you have after the Tinker Toy set?
Yeah, after you bought the Tinker Toy set.
$5.
How do you know?
You know because
How do you know? See, you know because we already figured it out.
Yes.
You had $5 at the beginning of step 4.
Yeah.
Okay? So that's how you know how much money you had after step 3. When step 3 is over, you go to step 4. How much money do you have at the beginning of step 4?
$5.
Okay. Okay, so how much money did you have after you bought the Tinker Toy set?
$5.
How do you know?
You know.
Why? How do you know?
You have $5 at the beginning of step 4.
You have $5 at the beginning of step 4. Okay, great. So how much money did the Tinker Toy set cost?
$5.
Okay, how do you know that?
You know that because you have $5 when you get to the beginning of step 4, and and 5 plus 5 is 10.
Okay, so you spent half of your money and you ended up with $5.
Yeah.
Okay?
So that's
So how much money did you have at the beginning of step 3?
$10.
So you had $10 at the beginning of step 3. And you spent half of your money and ended up with how much?
And then we ended up with 5.
Okay, so great. Now, how much money did we have at the beginning of step 2? What happened in step 2?
Let's just use green.
Okay, what happened? Tell me what happened in step 2.
Well, what happened in step 2 is we spent $10 on the Lego Ninja keychain.
And how much did we end up with after we spent $10 on the Lego Ninja keychain?
And we had $10.
How do you know that?
You know that because you have $10 at the beginning of step 3.
Right, because you have $10 at the beginning of step 3. So how much did you have at the beginning of step 2?
20.
How do you know?
No, because you spent $10 and then you have $10.
Right, you spent 10 and ended up with 10. So 20 minus 10 is 10. Okay, now off to step 1. What happened in step 1?
You spent a third of your money on Legos.
And how much did you end up with after you spent
20.
20. Okay, now here's the tricky part of this whole
Shit.
problem. You started out with some number x,
Do that one of
and you
yours.
spent 1/3 of x, and you ended up with 20. See if you can figure that one out.
What's 1/3 of? Is it 60?
Okay, well, what's 1/3 of 60?
1/3 of 60 is 20.
Okay, and so if you started out with 60 and spent 1/3 of your money, how much would you have left?
You'd have 20 left.
How much?
No, 40 left.
How do you know?
40 left. Well, I know because. Well, 60 minus 2/3 is 20. 60 minus 1/3 is 40.
Okay, so if you started out with 40, if you started out with 60 and you spent 1/3 of your money, you would have
40.
40 left. Okay, so it's not 60.
Well, and 40 is not divisible by 3.
40 is not divisible by 3, so that probably isn't going to work.
So, well, 30 minus 1/3 is 20. This is 1/3 of 30 is 10.
Okay, so if we start out with 30 minus 1/3 of, what's 1/3 of 30?
It's 10.
10.
Equals 20.
20. So how much money did we have at the beginning of this problem?
This is $30.
We had $30. We spent 1/3 of our money, which is 10, and we did 30 minus 10 was 20.
Yeah.
Okay, then we spent $10, and 20 minus 10 is 10.
Yeah.
Then we bought a Tinker Toy set for half of our remaining money,
Yeah.
and ended up with 5. And then we spent it and ended up with 0.
Don't forget about the homework problem.
I won't forget about the homework. I just want to make sure that we're in the, that last thing, that 30 that you drew wasn't in the picture. But, okay, here's the homework problem. Olympiad 63, problem number 3. This here. Olympiad 63, problem number 3.
Good.
Okay, good job, sweetie. All right.
Let's see how long that took.